We are live. Hello, everybody. Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone. Here I am. I was looking at some things, and now I'm here. So, basically, well, you could be watching from anywhere in the country or the world, and I appreciate you all that watch these streams, and you watching right now or watching it as a rerun. So I appreciate everybody's participation in it, and we have some interesting things to talk about. And I will do the game first, and then the other things. The other topics I'm talking about was some of the trial stuff and some of the news. Okay. Alright, here I am. I hope everybody's been having a good week this week. And also, I'm trying to go and put something on the screen real quick. That's why I paused for a second. So yes, I hope everybody's been having a good week, and I've been having an interesting time with the trials and stuff I have been watching. And I saw a movie recently. I saw a movie yesterday, Poseidon. It was a movie that came out when I was a kid, and I watched the whole thing. That was nice. So shout out to all of you. I'm about to start the game. Okay. So let's see how this goes. I'm going to go and put the game on because I do that usually, and I also will do this while the other ones come through. So in the trial that has to do with the guy that was on the river, on the Apple River, and he deleted some people there, some of the teens there. He was found guilty today. Yeah, he was found guilty today. And I was telling some others when I was talking about the trial that I certainly believe that he was guilty. Because some people didn't think he was, like people that weren't really paying attention to the trial, but they looked at it for a brief moment and they saw a piece of it and they made their own decision. But like when you see the whole process, you could see that he was certainly doing it out of spite. And in my opinion, and the jury also saw it was not like self-defense, it was out of like rage and anger. In my opinion, of course, and also the jury's opinion that convicted him. So now I'm going to get into the game part, and I'll talk more about this. Just giving you a little preview about what I'm going to talk about. And we're going to put this screen right here so we could see the pirate somewhat. Alright. Here we go. I was checking and monitoring some things while I was starting up the live, so I paused. I had pauses for moments, and here we are. Okay. And I got the new hat, the character's hat, and I go. Some of the people come a little bit later at these late night streams, so I was like going to change the time to a little bit later into the night, but because of my friends in the game, I decided I was going to go and just do these streams, although I've not seen some of my friends in the pirate game in a couple of a week, 2 weeks. Still, it's an option for them to come through, the ones in the game. All right. And I'll be reading more throughout the stream about the different trials I'm talking about to give you all more context, because sometimes there's people beeping outside, and sometimes things off the top of my head, it's a little, may not remember every single detail about things, so the articles are good to refresh my memory about stuff. And his last name, I don't know how to pronounce it, but Mui, Mui or something. He was so there was the Apple River, and there's so I want to talk about the trial that I was mentioning before. And also want to before I get into that, I'll say that the Prime Minister of Japan came to the States and he was talking about a variety of different topics, his own story and his belief in the Ukraine struggle, the Ukraine fight over there. I'll also get to that after the trial stuff. It's very windy outside. Very windy. And the weather was very bad yesterday, and today the weather is much better. But it's still very windy, though, at the same time. All right, so with the trial, so back to what I was saying before. On the Apple River, there is these teens, and there is some, these young people, and the other one, there is some young ladies there too, and there is this argument that either it was self-defense or the person did it out of spite. The say he was angry at the teens, the young people, and he wanted to go and get revenge, or he felt his ego was threatened, so he went and did something out of an emotion, like an angry bar fight, and went and attacked the different people. So I agree with self-defense in the sense that I think it's important to have self-defense, to bear arms, self-defend themselves. But in some situations, it's good to walk away and to not let the emotions control you. In some situations, though, say someone's in a burning building, saving somebody from a burning building is good. Going and helping somebody that's being attacked, or if you yourself was being attacked, that is good to do that in a situation, but to not do it for no reason, or do it when it's not necessary because it'll completely backfire and cause you and others horrible harm. And so, and they showed in the clips, and it's a bit, long trial, and I watched it since it started, many days, many hours with my friends over there in the trial chat. And so I thoroughly studied what's going on, and I'm like, it could be self-defense, and as it went on, hearing him and seeing the situation unfold, it's like, yeah, my other friends talking about it, it's like, this person did it out of anger. And so, because the river and the teens were drinking, because people do that on the river, they'll go on that river. One of my other friends was saying on the river they will go and, not him, but people on those rivers will go and drink, say beers and stuff. Because I was kind of confused why people would be drinking over there, but that's what they do, and they kind of float down the river. And you had some of the witnesses that didn't, some of them were kind of goofy, and there's a lot of drama. So, as it went on, basically the people they were filming him, and he was from a distance, and he was coming towards them, he was coming back towards them, or finding them and going towards them, allegedly to find his phone that was floating. And then there was a confrontation because he was going to attack them, and they didn't have any weapons on themselves. So it was if there's a gang of young people or older people, whatever, that have weapons on them, and they're going to attack you, of course it's good to defend yourself, but especially if someone's unarmed and you're going over to seek people out, that's very different than the other matter of going and attacking people. And at school, people in school, they could go and get into a conflict and stuff, and they'll get attention. But when we're dealing with people in the real world, people got weapons and things like that, and they go and do stuff like what we saw today. So he was found guilty on all 6 counts. And as the others and I were looking at, as clearly was the case. Because people, some of the people I was talking to about it, that probably didn't make any sense what I said. I may have had the spaceship had a glitch for a second. Some of the people that I was discussing it with were saying okay, we're just F around and find out. Well, this is self-defense. And basically things so not, they're not saying this directly, but so you don't believe in self-defense. But it's like, so I'm making it clear. I do believe in self-defense. All right, that's good. But when you watch the whole trial and or watch the main parts or the defining moments of it, you'll see that, and people can have their own opinions, that it wasn't like what it wasn't like that. So, because like sometimes people let people let their emotions get the best of them and they make decisions out of that. It's like, say, it's called a straw man argument, and no one's perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm sure we've all have done this before, but and I want to be correct. I don't want to be incorrect about something, and I don't mind being refuted. But like, say you do something like, say someone beats up a straw man, so people come up with an argument how something happened, and they take a little piece of something or a part of something, they blow it out of proportions. It's like, of course, if you word a certain way, or it sounds like something, but it's like when you look at the whole context of something, it may be different, or maybe it won't. So I am satisfied with how it went, and I like our jury system. Nothing's perfect, of course, but I'm glad that with our system there's checks and balances, and you have these trials and things. It's not like North Korea or these other countries where, in China, where it's like, say a tree is SpongeBob SquarePants, but it's just a tree. They'll go and lock you up for that. Just give an example. And there's like no fair trials, in my opinion, and there's a lot of things like that go on. But over here, it's different, and I like how the country does that. And I like learning about the court stuff, and I got into this stuff through the Johnny Depp trial. And I'm also political, and it seems that there's a link between the trial stuff and the political stuff. There seems to be a link to it. Like, if there were to do some sort of study, in my opinion, you'd find out that there's some sort of a link between this and the other thing, and I completely missed that ship. Nice. Which I was trying to hit the ship, but I missed it. Alright, so we're going to turn around. And as I said, Sam Silver is not here right now. And as the stream goes on, when the others join, I will talk about the things that I'm talking right now over, because I do like when the people that come to the chat and that chat in the chat, they like to hear what's going on, and I like to see what they have to say, because these are very late night streams. Obviously, they're not like, say, at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, so there's a late night group that sees these streams. And because earlier I was doing some stuff with the cats and things with family, so it's nice to do these and people could see the repeats. But as I said, I do the streams at night. There's a lot of people that like to watch them, and there's people, I'd say, watching right now. Absolutely. Not everybody comments, though, which is fine. Oh, no big deal. Like, there's like a chat group that comes through, and there's people that just watch it. So shout out to all of you. And this Phantom ship, I'm by myself. I'm doing this pretty well. Yeah, shout out to Sam O'Silver in the game that isn't there right now. Hope he's okay. I was going to tell him Happy Easter, but I wasn't able to tell him Happy Easter because he wasn't there. It's common sense, isn't it? It's like, someone's not there, you can't tell him anything. I could talk to the wall, but I talk to the wall all the time, so it wouldn't really be as exciting. Alright. Alright, flying through, and Bubbles the cat is coming over. He's sitting in his chair next to me. That's what he's doing. I did a drive-by with this. Alright. Yeah, shout out to Bowles who's chilling next to me. Alright. Right. So, also, another thing that was going on is that I was seeing these ships about to get. Yeah, the Prime Minister, the Japanese PM, he was talking about like his experience in America and World War II and things like that, and how America and Japan have better relations now, which is good. And also, about the Ukraine thing, and as I said, our country is going through a lot of different stuff in general, and prices are going up. And there are a lot of matters with our own country to be taken care of, in spite of what people think about the Ukraine-Russia conflict. And it's good America helps other countries, but it's also good to help our own country too. And now we're getting some of these Vanguard ships. Looks like they're firing at me now. Alright. Ooh. It's not good. Got my ship pretty good. Well, I'm surprised my ship didn't take more damage than it did. Yeah, so I'll continue with some more of the topics in a moment. Because I want to deal with this ship situation because I have a couple on my tail. I think it's interesting. I'm putting them through these mazes. I'm kind of doing some trickery here. Alright. And I kind of go on autopilot while I talk about these things. Oh, they're going at me again. Ah, they missed. They aren't going to win this. Weather's kind of dry, but it's nice and cool. Last night, I was, I was on another show, and it was kind of, I had my jacket on, and I had one of the sweaters, a long sleeve shirt under that. I have to drink some water in a moment because I'm sounding kind of rusty. But I'm going to try to get this through before I drink the water. So basically what happened was, it was kind of muggy, kind of hot outside. Warm, and I had some clouds in the sky. It was clear but with some clouds, and all of a sudden, as the night went a little bit later and later while I was looking at the different constellations and stuff, it really, as wind came, and it was clear skies, and all of a sudden, it was like, it got really cold all of a sudden. And I was like, wow. And it was, then I was like, well, I'll put my jacket on, but the chair was kind of wet, so I had a wet jacket on. I felt like a genius right then and there. But it wasn't too wet, and it was nice and warm. It absorbed some of the water from the wet chair. It absorbed it like a sponge. The cotton material. Alright, there we go. Boom. Okay, here we go. So, a shout out to all of you that are watching a rerun or listening it live. Thank you. Oh no. I have to repair the ship. I didn't pay attention for a second because I was looking at some other item on the screen. Goofy. But I'm glad that I got this protection on my ship so it doesn't damage it too much. Oh yeah, I got the two bones now. The skull and bones. Shout out to the pirate ship and to this spaceship. Excuse me. Oh, they're coming at me. But I gotta get this thing first. Gotta be careful here. See this guy, this fella, is trying to stop me. I like teaming it with Sam. Alright, let's go. But he's not here. Alright, it's all good. All my friends are offline on the game. Oh, it's the game's AI said to attack that ship and not the Reverend. Reverend. I played this game many years. Even before Disney took it down. Alright. Well, I think that would have been a better position. But, oh, okay, I got it. Like I thought that would do something. Because it's like, it wasn't. You know, you gotta like, it's like playing chess. This game's like chess. You gotta like foresee what the opponent's going to do. I can kind of wait a little bit because he's trying to cover that ship, and I'm gonna go this way and drift a little bit. And okay, turn this on. It's like a launch key. Okay, now I'm gonna go to the shore. We'll go to Cuba. Usually I'd fight these, but I'm gonna dock this time. Alright. Bloody Bayou. Then I'm gonna go and repair the ship when I dock. Had a nice walk before I did the live stream. Walked outside for a little bit. Fantastic. Gold nuggets. A mediocre amateur voodoo doll, able to mine the spirits of anything it touches. A balanced throwing knife that no one needs, so I'll take everything that I can. Got medicine, copper bars, silver bars, iron, emeralds, cotton, wheat, and spices. Alright, nice. Let's see. A boarding cutlass, I have that already. Brown cotton trousers. Trousers. What an elegant name. I'm in Lawrence Selbob crew. I'm gonna go on that ship. It's kind of a different perspective than the other perspective we're used to. I want to go on my ship and repair it real quick. Alright, gonna repair this ship. Then I'll go. They want me to join their crew, and I joined it, and I'm going to go over there after I fix this. Some trucks moving around outside. Um, and we have that. That's being stupid. Okay. Okay, now I'm cutting this. And we're doing good with the cutting of the... Well, I was doing really good with the cutting of the wood. Alright. Okay, so now we're going to go brace the ship. The old braces in the game, it would be a cross with a green cross in the middle. That's what they had. And now they have it just a straight beam. Okay, that didn't go like I wanted it to, because that's how it worked last time, I believe. There we go. I don't know, the game is going against me in that one. I think it went fine. That's what you do, you just kind of go over that. No. Usually, like last time I did that, it went really well. Now we're patching up some holes. And the game crashed. The game crashed. Okay. If that's what that screen means, it means the game crashed.
Why did it crash?
It crashed because sometimes it does that.
I don't think my internet's working.
It's a cool wallpaper, though. I like that. Now Jack Sparrow there. And the sea, and the treasure, and the zombie pirates. Pretty cool.
Do you want me to see if I can get on?
What?
Do you want me to see if I can get on?
Oh, no, the game, the streams of the. You could come to the stream. The stream's fine. It was just the game.
Okay.
It was them.
My phone wasn't, my internet wasn't working at all.
Okay.
I have to see for anything. It must be related to the TV.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, but the TV doesn't work for me. Let me see. It's so quiet.
Squidward. Alright, so we're going to go back and repair the ship. Hello, Mary. Welcome. Okay. Now I'm gonna go and oh, it's a sunset. So I would have went on that ship. You know, I could have. I had a feeling to like check the ship or something or go over there quickly, but and that's what was going to happen. The thing was going to crash. Thanks, Mary. All right. Yeah, and Mary, I was talking about Bloody Bayou. Yeah, I was talking about that situation with my with the trial, how the Apple the Apple River murderer was put. He was found guilty on everything, and I'll read more about it later. And also, let's talk about some of the other trials that I was attending to. I'm glad that you're here. It's nice to have you here. All right, and this is going to be silly. Here we go. I didn't know that, Mary. There's going to be a new SpongeBob movie at a movie theater. A new Sponge. There's going to be a new SpongeBob movie at the movie theaters, December of 2025. Yes, Mary, the knife guy. His name's in the title. I don't know his last name, but I'm going to read more about it in a little bit shortly. Okay, now this thing really is glitching. Oh yeah, this game's glitching. Wow. Chat. It's saying yes, it's the Apple River, Mary. Chat. So it says that that's almost complete, the hammering, but I just completed it. Then you have that, and won't let me click on there. And you have the hull bracing, and you have the plank sawing. All this is not wow. Incredible. Game's glitched. Let's try to exit it. Okay. I've exited it, and it just stuck. Ken, I'm stuck. Alright. And also, well, yeah, he could have done that, Mary. Absolutely. The the teens were even causing him a problem. He he reacted, in my opinion, over something minor. Yeah, maybe cyber pirates have taken over the game. Scared. And as I said, and I'll talk about this tomorrow as well about the trial. I'll talk about it tomorrow too. I'm gonna try to land the ship. Yeah, Stinks be stuck. All right, the that silly teddy bear. Oh, okay. Well, the game. Yeah, so we're just going to go away from the game, and hopefully the Pirates of the Caribbean people can fix their game. Shout out to them, but they got some bugs and they got some cyber pirates in there right now. All right, so we're just gonna go to the topics. People can watch the rerun or whatever. All right, so go here. Shout out to the spaceship cats. Right. Well, I think she's silly. All right, we're gonna go to the Apple River murder. So shout out to this Google thing. Oh, I can. I probably could go do it through a different server in the game, but it's all good. All right. Jury Nicolia guilty of reckless Miu or something. Not too sure. Guilty of reckless homicide and Apple River stabbing. Reminds me of the live action Disney movie The Cat from Outer Space. Yeah, shout out to E.T. Alien Cat in that movie also. The St. Croix County jury convicted Nikolai. I remember the movie, Mary. Yes. Bowles is snoring next to me. Crow County jury convicted Nikolai. I don't know how to say his name, so I'm butchering it. 54 of reckless homicide for fatally stabbing Isaac Schumann, 17, at the popular recreation spot in western Wisconsin. He was also convicted of recklessly endangering the safety of 4 other people he stabbed. Gasps and sobs filled the St. Croix County. I'm probably saying that wrong too. Crow County Wisc courtroom on Thursday as the jury convicted Nicole of first degree reckless homicide for the fatality of fatally stabbing. Yeah, that's true, Mary. Stabbing 17-year-old Isaac Schumann during a 2022 confrontation at the Apple River in western Wisconsin. Mui, 54, and his attorney lowered their heads at Judge Michael Waterman read the verdicts from the jury of 6 men and 6 women, in addition to the homicide conviction and 1 count in battery against another person. It's been 21 months. We've been waiting for justice for Isaac Michael Schumann. and we got it today. Donnie Hernandez, the husband of Schuman's mother, and Nelia Hernandez, after the verdict, a large group of family members had and supporters stood arrayed behind them outside the courthouse in the Hudson. Not the Hudson, but no. Yeah, Hudson. Yeah. Miyu, who hung his head at the verdicts were read, had argued he was in fear for his life and acted in self defense. He will be sentenced at a later date and faces what one of his attorneys called a substantial life altering penalties. Prosecutors sought a higher charge of first degree intentional homicide against Mui, but also asked the jury to consider a lesser charge. Defense attorney Aaron Nelson said the defense team was surprised and disappointed by the verdict. In many ways, self-defense is a community standard, Nelson said, and it's very dependent on which group of 12 people within the community you ask. You know, when some people in chat during the trial, my friends in the chat were split about it. As I got closer to the end, we all most agreed on the same thing. You'll have some people that didn't agree, and it took some time and went back and forth. So if some of you think that self-defense, that's okay. It's a matter of opinion. It depends on who you ask. Newey had remained in the state custody since he was first jailed after the verdict. Waterman revoked his bail and returned. To jail. The top count against Miu carries a sentence of up to 40 years in prison with more time possible on other counts. The sentencing determination lies within Waterman. Nicole Miu's twin brother and his family leave the courthouse after his brother's guilty verdict at St. Croix County District Court, Hudson, Wisconsin, Thursday. Yeah, Mary, I wonder if that is true about the bail, and also, it's sad he has been in jail since the beginning. No, it's said he has been in jail since the beginning, rather. Prosecutor Carl Anderson said Mewey's brother behavior in the day revealed his guilt. A key point in the case was Nicole's own actions, Anderson said. After he stabbed all these people, he walked away, he ditched his knife, he didn't tell his group anything, and then he tried to get away and pretend like he wasn't involved. Schuman was from Stillwater, also stabbed in the confrontation on July 30, 2022 at recreation spot near Summerest, who and were Alexander Martin, Dante Carlson, Anthony Carlson, and Riley Madison. Mewey was convicted of battery against another person in the group, Madison Cohen. The jury had briefly returned to the courtroom first thing Thursday to review the videos of the confrontation captured in Jawan Cockfield, another member of the group that included Schuman. Miyu was also with a group of people who were rubbing on Apple River that day. Jurors reviewed the video from 1 minute mark when Miyu first spoke to Cohen, who told Miyu to leave after the people in Schuman's group accused him of looking for little girls. Miyu testified that he looked for a cell phone one of the others in his group had lost while tubing. He said he pushed Cohen because she was yelling in his personal space. His feelings were hurt. Witnesses said Miyu punched her, starting the brawl. She didn't know that exactly. That be acted like he didn't do anything weird. He should have started screaming, calling 911. Right. This is how you know that he was. It was, in my opinion, a minor situation. If there was any kind of confrontation, and he basically was like intentionally like angry, like he was like triggered. I saw him on the stand. He was like, they asked him to 1 to a 10 how angry he was, and he said a 1. He was like a 1. One of my friends, she said, I hate to see him at a 7. You do if you do all this at a 1, Lord help us. The whole world would have been demolished. None of us would have been here. Like what Charles Manson said, that if it was up to him, if he was out, none of us would be here when he was alive. That's what Charles Manson said, that there would be none of us left. So yeah, you got to be careful about people like that. And also, he lied about the knife. He made clear he lied about the knife when he was being interrogated, when he was arrested, and all in the beginning. He lied about it. He's like, oh, I don't have a knife. But someone in the chat was saying, oh, you need to get your facts straight and look at the facts. The kids had a knife, and he just took it from him. And I told the person, you know, he said on the stand yesterday that he lied about not having the knife, but he had it the whole time. I knew that. And the person was like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't see that. I have to look at it. I'm like, all right, good. Yeah. So, there you go. Mary says he should have immediately, and right. Yeah, she said I'm right. Exactly. Miyu had testified during the trial that his fear was getting really high as the confrontation escalated and he was pushed into the water several times. He glanced down and took a deep breath as the video showed him fighting Schumann's group, stabbing people around him. Prosecutors called Miyu a prolific liar, pointing to inconsistencies between what he initially told police later in the day on June 30. That's what I just told you before I even read it. Before I read the article, I told you what was said. And what he later admitted on the stand, Miyu told the police that he had taken the knife from one of the younger men in the group, but later acknowledged it was his. What did I just say, chat? I said something before I even read it. Maybe, I pay attention to these things by memory. Right. The trial revealed grisly details from the scene, with Martin testifying that an attack left him stunned as he held parts of his own intestines. Graphic warning, everybody. That was some rated R stuff. I didn't know that's what I was going to say at the moment. Your discretion is advised. Yeah, so that's really messed up. Rest in peace. In his hands. Our position was, if he truly afraid, why not just hold up the knife and people are going to back up, Anderson said. It's like people getting angry, It's like you scared of some teenagers that don't have a weapon. But anyway. Justice for Isaac, said Donnie Hernandez, husband of Isaac, Schumann's mother, Alenia Hernandez, left as he tears up while talking to the media after Nicolea, I don't know what the heck his name is, Nicolea, guilty verdict at St. Croix County District Court in Hudson, Wisconsin on Thursday. This man, from my knowledge, I don't think Miyu was injured. Like, he just injured a bunch of other people. It's like, it's cringe. Members of the jury excited the courtroom Thursday without any comment to the media. Anderson, who said after the verdict that he was happy that Isaac got justice, said the high profile nature of the crime and the trial and the long standing popularity of Apple River as a summertime destination probably played into public interest of the case. Star Trek. Shout to Star Trek. What did you miss? You tell me again. I think about half of the jury panel had been the Apple Rivers, so I think it kind of hit close to home for a lot of people, he said. Miu's wife and friends testified he was a peaceful man bullied by Schumann's group that day. Miu looked worried after the fight. They testified, Miu himself testified to having nightmares about the stabbing every night, and he told officers who interviewed him that July afternoon that his whole life is down the tubes. Ploquin, whose son testified, was part of the group today and said the case will leave its mark on everyone who's involved. Oh yeah, very intense. Absolutely. See, that's him being angry. Can they see that? Yeah, they can see that. All right. It's like I remember I was telling you all like about the thing, and then he said it like I literally said it a moment later. Like I read that's what the article said. I witnessed it live. People were like, "I'm gonna drink some water." Yeah, so that's basically the situation that we're watching right there. Yeah, so he's been found guilty in all six. Mary says, "Where were all the other people?" They were there. Like they were like, there's a group of people like on the river, and then this guy comes around with his knife and starts getting up in their face, and they go to fight him, and then he has a knife and he goes and stabs them and cuts them. Then they had some girl there, some young girl, and he hit her, and it all went downhill. Yeah, it's a sad situation. That's why people need to like. People are saying confidently, "F around and find out." Well, yeah, this guy did F around and find out, and that goes for anybody. That it's good to have self defense, but don't go and like pick fights and people like this. So this no, this is the warning to F around and find out. This is that situation. Yeah, and some people are like, why I sit inside all day and watch trials. You see, look, see, it was worth it, and I have friends in the chat, and like I'll tell you all, it's like another thing I'll talk about the Brian Koberger. It's like they're saying at that trial that the YouTube was influencing like people were influencing things because they're talking about the YouTubers that were watching the streams of the Ryan Kohberger trial, because they're asking the jury surveys and stuff. So, sometimes they'll try to throw shade on the people that watch the trials on YouTube. I remember at the Crumbly, the mother, her trial, they had the Shannon was her attorney, and she was like, "Oh, the people on the internet at their houses that think they know everything about this and that and talking about me," and it's like, they don't like it when all people everywhere can join together with the modern technology we have now to join together and watch the trial and make opinions about it and discuss the information. And you all can see, and Mary can see, and other people could see why I like to stay in and watch this all day long. As this is something we could do something about. This is something important. So I think that it's really good that we watch the trials and we participate in these things and we'll always monitor what's going on. All right. All right. So another trial I watched is the YSL trial. I'll read you all about that, about Jeffrey Williams. I didn't know that, Mary. There is a Reddit group that supports the suspect of the college students. Yeah, there's just a lot of people out there. As I said, everyone, Brian deserves a fair trial, just like everybody else. Make sure that it was him and everything. He deserves a fair trial. I believe it's him in my opinion, but everybody deserves a fair trial. But to support him in that way, I think is foolish. I'd be suspicious of those people, Mary. Witness in Young Thug trial refuses to answer questions. D'Angelo White claims the prosecution want him to tell on somebody he doesn't know. So there's a situation that's been going on with this specific trial. In this specific trial with Young Thug, there's the people have been on the stand from the hood from their gang, and they're like they don't want to be snitching, so they don't go and talk about what happened because there's a thing in the hood where they don't want people snitching on each other. So that's why they do that. And this thing keeps dragging on and on. It's really hilarious. In the latest episode of Young Thug YSL trial, a witness refused to answer the questions on the stand. Complex reports. On Tuesday, April 9, the prosecution team called D'Angelo White, who alleged can be heard in a 911 call from 2015 regarding a shooting prosecutors argue was intended to target him. Prosecutors are arguing that this shooting incident is connected with charges of racketeering against Young Thug, whose real name is Jeffrey Williams, and his defendants. Like myself, Alien Spaceship sometimes, or there's Mark Twain. People they'll come up with like a pen name. That's what it was called. A nickname, a pen name. Why am I here? This is not my case. I don't know why I'm even here, man. White said when asked about the shooting incident. When prosecutors' questions persisted, White became visibly frustrated and stated he wanted to go back in prison instead of participating in the trial. This don't have nothing to do with me, White said. This is not my case. I'm already doing a 10-year bird. I don't know, this might be the guy that was saying he'd rather go back with the chain gang. Yeah, it might be he wanted. Yeah, this is the guy. I remember he was like he was frustrated. He didn't want to be. He wanted to go back with the chain gang. White accused the state was holding me against my will, and on Wednesday, April 10. Yeah, I remember him. Okay, I remember when this happened. It was hilarious. Chat was going. This was hilarious. He said that the prosecutors were trying to get me to tell on somebody I didn't know. An eventful week for prosecution. It was revealed that investigator from District Attorney Fannie Willis' office allegedly sexually harassed a witness in a text message on Monday. Wow. Investigator Rashid Hamilton allegedly sent personal messages to a witness identified as A. Bennett. Keith Adams, one of the thug's attorneys, questioned Bennett about sexual harassment claims that she levied at Hamilton. Did he, Wallace, address you as Mama on more than one occasion? Adams asked. Yes, Bennett answered. And this February 7 of the 24 7 February 7 of 2024, this year, when an investigator from DA's office is supposed to be talking to you about a case, but in fact is talking to you about going on a date. Is that true? Adams asked. Yes, Bennett responded. In much publicized case, Williams and his 5 co-defendants have been charged with the criminal counts of possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute, possession of codeine with the intent of distribute, possession of cocaine, possession of firearm, and possession of machine gun. If Williams and his co-defendants are found guilty, they are be sentenced to more than 120 years in prison. And in my opinion, I think, young thug, they need to let him go. Because, this whole stupid thing with the prosecutors and the DA, well, that's what the same thing, the spaceship is getting to me. The DA, what they're doing is cringe, and I like the judge is alright. I've learned some new words from him. But, yeah, they seen it as a bias against him, and Steele was standing up for him and saying, that there's a bias in this trial against his client, and he wanted to, he was cringing about it. Remember, I talk about this all the time. He stands up for his client ruthlessly, and that's good. And I'm glad to see that done. This is what I was talking about before. And alleged co-founder of YSL takes stand. Judge explodes over evidence after late submission from defense. Yeah, he went off. It was this cringe the other night. It was cringe. You see, so that's a video. That's the judge, and that's her. That's her. I don't quite recall her name. And this is the alleged co-founder. Hey, you're a Jedi, right? Atlanta prosecutors question a man considered one of the possibly 5 founding members of the Young Slim Life Young YSL in court Wednesday. Prosecutors have accused YSL of being a street gang. Walter D.K. Murphy took the witness stand as part of his plea. Pawn Star pleads guilty. Goodbye, Pawn Stars. Scared. That's just an ad that popped up. Murphy took the witness stand as part of his plea argument. He questioned over the prior gang affiliations, how YSL was found, and how he became affiliated with the rapper Young Thug, who legal team is Jeffrey. And close that window. And the page went all the way down. this page is jumping. Okay. That one. That took about a moment. Come on. Come on. Alright. Christmas is coming. Okay. See how this goes. Yeah, scared. Yeah, so that's basically, I can tell you all what's going on. So basically, with YSL, they had one of the people from the gang that they think is a gang, and he testified. This guy over here that I was referring to before, that dude right there with the little fro, and yeah, he didn't really remember anything. He was saying he didn't know him, and it was going back and forth, and also then they were asking questions. They showed some pictures. They showed their merch. Yeah, Santa. Yeah, Mary is showing Santa. Yeah, they had the merch. So they show that they had some like shirts. Let's see if I can find a picture of that. Yeah, fact. Shout out to Halloween. All right. That's not what I was trying to find. All right. That's not what I was trying to find. There was a shirt that the group had these red shirts for their YSL thing, and then it's going like the guy in the picture. He didn't really, he said he didn't remember anything. What they were trying to talk to him about. They showed him some recordings, like they did with the other witnesses of them talking about stuff. Through the 911 calls, and then there's this big fight again with the judge and the defense, and about the motions. They didn't have, before the trial's done, they had these different motions in place, but he didn't do that. And then there was adjourned, and today there is some more drama with it. So there's a lot of, that one. Some people don't watch it. They think the judge is unprofessional. There's a lot of cringe going on with that, and we'll see how it goes as it continues. And then the Brian. See how this goes. This article. All right. Christmas is coming, as they say. The blue screen. There we go. Defense attorneys for Brian Kohberger argue that the recent survey they ordered of local residents shows that he cannot get a fair trial and there needs to be change in venue. Prosecutors objected to the survey, arguing it violated gag orders in the case that include questions that contain false information. NBC's Herting reports Danny Sevilos joins today with legal analysis. Alright, so that's what was going on with that trial. And I watched that one live, and it's just a lot of, some more cringe going on. And it's good that these public attorneys he has are, doing what they're supposed to do to defend their client. But at the same time, this person, he went, in my opinion, and deleted a couple of people in this sorority house right here. And like what Ted Bundy did, and it's in his eyes, in my opinion. There's a spooky look to him in his eyes. You just see, but his look is just like a regular dude in a suit, but the eyes, you kind of, something not right there. And they're showing these PowerPoints to us in the stream, and everybody was like, "Yeah, we're all like, this is real helpful." I'm like, "Oh, I'm back in civics class." So that was hilarious that they did it that way, but I still learned quite a few things. And they did the survey, and they're saying it wasn't correct to do it like that. And I'll see, seeing how it goes with this website, with this article, see if I can get through it and read it to y'all about what's going on with the trials. And here I go. I'm going to click on it. We'll see how this goes. All right, let's see. The Independent, shout out to Independent. Brian Kohberger's attorneys warn people's lives may be in danger in Idaho murder trial. All right. I don't know what that's about. J.K. Rowling says Harry Potter cast can say their apologies. That probably has to do with them not including her in something, because she may have said something like, a woman is biological or something. I don't know, something silly like that. And people could be so petty, but that's kind of for another time. And hopefully that TV thing could go away so I could read this without interruption. All right. Brian Kohberger's defense attorneys have warned that people's lives may be in danger during this trial for the University of Idaho murders. Mr. Kohberger, a 29-year-old PhD criminal justice student, is accused of deleting 4 students in their off-campus home in Idaho. In Idaho murders. Mr. Kohberger, okay, I read that. His attorney, Ann Taylor, filed motion with the prosecution on 4 April requesting that discovery request be placed under the seal because the document contained facts or statements that might threaten or endanger the life and safety of individuals. The motion warns that full release of discovery would constitute an unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. In response, Ms. Taylor's motion, the state said release of the discovery evidence could disclose the identity of the confidential source. It was unclear who in the evidence may endanger or who impossible confidential sources of the case may be. That's him. Yeah. The filing comes as both parties returned to a court last week where they argued over the defense containing Latah County residents to determine whether the jury pool could be biased. In further hearing about issue on Wednesday, Latah County prosecutor Bill Thompson questioned the defense expert performed the phone survey, pointing out that the survey was loaded question and some factually incorrect. During the hearing, the prosecutors also appeared to pour cold water on speculation about Mr. Kohberger's connection to some of his victims. It's false. Brian Kohberger allegedly stalked. Oh, quote. It's false that Brian Koberger allegedly stalked one of his victims. You know that Mr. Thompson told the expert in the court, according to News Nation, Brian Enton. Thanks, Mary. He added that the expert should not go around screwing the knowledge of the prospective jurors may have or may have not. Mr. Thompson said that the survey questions violated gag orders in the case. Impossible jurors were injected with information. The Lewiston Tribune reported, adding that the survey cannot stand. The judge overseeing the case criticized the survey questions last week, calling it the total shock to him, and said, because this is a big deal and I take it very seriously, and I was surprised that this was happening behind our backs. And that's the group that was deleted. And I know someone in the other chat on the other channel that knew one of the female victims at her work. Or it was a coworker. Yeah, and he was able to go in there and do that. Yeah. Mr. Koberger's defense attorney said the legal team was conducting the survey to support their argument that the trial should be moved to a different county. She said the poll showed the jury pool was biased. No decision has yet been made on the matter. Mr. Koberger faces 4 counts of murder in the first degree and count of felony burglary. And 1 count of the felony burglary and the fatal stabbing of Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Logan, Zana Coronado, and Ethan Chapin. The students were found stabbed to death in an off-campus rental house in Moscow on 13 November 2022. Mary, that's crazy. They've been demolished the houses where the murder took place, didn't they? Yeah, one of my friends, Ellie, was saying it's really cringe that they tore the house down. And yeah, that's what they did, Mary. They tore it down. I think that was foolish. They shouldn't have done that. The military-style knife, believed to be a weapon, has never been recovered. However, a knife sheath was found near the victims, and that sheath contained DNA which was matched to Mr. Koberger, according to authorities. Alright, that's it. Alright. Yeah, Moscow, Idaho. Right there. They show the house. Yeah, like, let's just try to do that again. Let's see. Yeah, that's it right there. So there we go, and that's about the trials for tonight. And now I'm going to go into the Prime Minister of Japan. All right, let's see. Here. President Biden celebrated the relationship between the U.S. and Japan, calling the alliance stronger than it has ever been, as he hosted Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida for the state visit Wednesday. Speaking at the Swanky State dinner Wednesday night, Biden said the U.S. and Japan continue to be partners amid a change in the world, reinforcing his commitment to the bolstering vital partnership of the Indo-Pacific aimed amid to military and economically resignate the resurgent China rather. We've been brought together with the same hopes and the same values and the same commitment to democracy and freedom and dignity for all. And today, without question, our alliance is literally stronger than it has ever been, Biden said during the dinner. Biden said that we stand in inflection point, and the U.S. and Japan will continue to stand together. Tonight, we pledge to keep going. We stand to inflection point where the decisions we made are now going to determine the course of the future for decades to come, Biden added. Japan has been at the center of Biden's alliance building the Indo-Pacific as officials have seen a willing partner in Kishida who has significantly shifted the country's defense postures in recent years and provided ongoing support to the Ukraine amid Russia's invasion of Ukraine that led to the day of feel-good appearances and announcements between the two men in the state visit. Over 17 items were covering a wide array of critical sectors were announced as part of the bilateral meeting between Biden and Kishida, including commitment to changing the U.S. foreign force structure in Japan to improve how Japanese U.S. are integrated, establish integrating anti-missile defense between U.S. and Australia and Japan. The announcements are all part of the major update to the nation's military alliance, but eliminates elements of them will take some of the implements, including the change of the U.S. force structure, which will several months both countries to work through, the senior official noted. Speaking on one White House South Lawn Wednesday morning, Biden landed the monumental alliance between our two great democracies. I see on the side it says Vietnam tycoon sentenced to death in 12 billion fraud case. Wow. Japan has committed to plant 250 new trees along the tidal basin to honor the U.S.'s 250-year birth. In 2026. Biden acknowledged the devastating history between the U.S. and Japan. He traveled to Hiroshima last year at a summit with G7 leaders and toured the Hiroshima Peace Museum, which chronicles the vast destruction of the U.S. atomic bomb in the city in 1945, closing the days of World War II. And that's them sitting. It would have been easy for the two countries to remain adversaries given their bloody history, noted. Instead, he said, we made a far better choice. We'd be closest friends. Today, Biden added, our democracies are beacons of freedom shining across the globe. The leaders detailed new space collaboration at the time when Japan has signaled interest in landing its first astronauts on the moon and lay out ways of increased people-to-people ties amid lagging student exchanges between the two countries in recent years. The astronaut would be the first non-American to set foot on the moon. Some of these partnerships include a joint artificial intelligence between Carnegie University of Washington, Washington State, SUU Cuba, included creating a scholarship of fund high school students from the U.S. travel to Japan to study and vice versa. But even as their cooperation across range of sectors, two countries have seen recent difference on the economic front, with the U.S. president opposing Japan's efforts to purchase a U.S. steel. Responding during a joint news conference to a question about the acquisition of the company at one of the most powerful companies in the world by Japan-based Nippon Steel, Kishida described the 14.1 accusation as an investment in the United States. We hope these discussions will unfold in directions that would be positive for both sides. Kishida said he did not directly address whether the two leaders discussed the acquisition during the private meeting or held earlier in the day. Biden, who previously said it was Vital Company, remains American-owned and operated, said during the press conference, the first he's held in 2024 stands be my commitment to American workers, he says. And the meeting, Biden and Kishida, will be followed later this week by the first ever leaders summit between U.S., Japan, and the Philippines, as there's a concern about China's expansion in North Korea. That's what he also mentioned in his address to Congress, that he was going to, the concerning situation about the Chinese expansion into Asia, and which is a concerning situation. Now, Russia isn't a communist country anymore. It's more like it's the Russian Empire, like the czars and stuff. That's something different. But China's communist still. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of that, taking over Asia, in my opinion. Of course, in America, we do have issues and matters to deal with here. At the same time, we are, concerned matters too, but as I said, America is having its own issues. This year was the year everybody, and last year, all these countries are declaring war on each other. Kishida said during the news conference that Japan will continue to call on China to fulfill its responsibilities as a major power, while else is striving to establish a constructive and stable relationship. Biden is working to draw the Pacific allies and partners closer as the region grapples with China's aggression. Attempts to change the status quo by forcing a co is absolutely unacceptable, whatever it may be, he added. All the deliverables on the agenda are part of a concerted military, diplomatic, and strategic efforts to try and flip the script and counters Chinese efforts to isolate American allies like the Philippines and Japan, according to one of the administrator's officials. The idea of switching to multilateral lattice like strategic architecture has flipped the script to isolate China, his person said. Cherry blossom diplomacy, even as leaders plan to announce the lengthy list of defense and diplomatic agreements during the course of their visit. Senior administration's officials also sought to highlight a more symbolic takeaway. The National Park Service has said around 150 cherry trees will chop down later this spring to make way for the higher seawalls around the basin. Japan first donated trees to Washington in the early 20th century. A senior Biden administration official called the original gift of cherry trees Japan one of the most important diplomatic gifts in U.S. history. Second, the only Statue of Liberty, a present from France. Hello, Sarah. Good to see you. Welcome. A senior Biden administration official called the original gift. Okay. I think you'll find that it's initiatives like this that. Yeah, I agree, Sarah. I think you'll find the initiatives like this that may not be significant. Apparently, as new arrangements on military command structures or joint co-production of the military side, but they're deeply significant to our people, an official said. Even as Biden hails the alliance with Japan on Wednesday, officials acknowledged the concern among American allies as a prospect of potential return of Trump in the Oval Office, and they think that could be ported foreign relations. Sarah says hello to myself and Mary. Even as Biden hails the alliance with Japan on Wednesday, officials acknowledge, I think we all recognize there is anxiety in capitals, uncertainty about the nature of the future U.S. policy will look like. The official said whether we will remain as engaged in the internationalist pursuits as all kinds of bipartisan foreign policy efforts will have animated the last period after the Second World War and after the Cold War. There are questions and concern there. So today, Sarah, a couple hours ago, the PM of Japan, he made a speech in Congress, and in the Congress, he was talking about America and in Japan, the history about it, and he was talking about the war in Ukraine. And regardless of what people think about the conflict, it's like I do, which I'm not. I'm glad America and Japan are doing better than they were in World War II. I'm glad that finally, there is good relations. But also, at the same time, I know like Japan, it did have wars with Russia during the Russian Empire and in the Soviet Union. It felt like what we used to be allies with the Soviet Union during World War II. With people, it seems like it's not like that anymore, obviously. But We had an alliance with the Soviets, and there was this China. I'll tell you what I'm talking about, and like what I mean by that. So basically, we have Russo-Japanese War. Yeah, so there is a war that Japan and Russia had together in 1904, 1905. Before, this is before the Russian Revolution. And Tsar Nicholas II, the last Tsar of Russia, he was the leader of Russia at that time, and also Meiji was the emperor at that time. And you have this, you have a couple different people. So that's during the Russian Empire, and you see the flag is the same type of flag Russia has now, because this is before it became a communist country and they killed the Tsar and his family. That's not the point of this. My point is that Russia and Japan always had, they have like they'll say in the hood, they had beef. So Japan, I would think, would not be friendly with Russia, and we could see that now. Not that that's okay if they're if they have something against Russia, that's their business. But it's like I was thinking to myself, I had to make a guess. Like they wouldn't support the Russian thing. And America has a lot of its problems of its own. And it was nice what the PM said in some ways. Like he was saying how America may feel lonely defending the whole world and policing the whole world on its own, and that Japan would be our ally and do it with us. And that's good that they will be on our side. And Russia, I mean, not China, and they would be our ally. And that's good that, and I'm glad that Japan and America had this close alliance, and it was nice seeing the naval ships that America and Japan have. It's good. So it's good we have our ally there, and it's important. But as I said, like through studying history, I would think they would not be friends. And Sarah is clarifying what I was saying before. She said Russia never returned islands. People here never forgot. They don't. Yes. Right. So, yeah. So they have their own beef with each other, and they don't. So before it became a communist country, they have beef with them. And also, I'm going to get to what you're saying, Sarah. That was a good point you made. I'm going to read that in a moment. So, with the Russian Empire, they had some beef with them, and beef means like two parties. Like at the trial, I was talking about the YSL, the Young Thug trial. They asked one of the people like on the stand. They're like, what's beefing mean? He's like two people that are like fighting, that don't like each other. And he didn't know. The DA was like, she was like, is it a specific person or persons? And he said he didn't know. He didn't write the definition. In my opinion, I will say, in my humble opinion, when I don't know the definition either, I didn't create the definition. I'd say it could be countries or two parties. And thanks, Sarah. That are, it could be Japan and Russia. It could be myself and my chat gang against some troll or something. So it could be, there could be more of a fluid term. It doesn't have to be static. Yeah. Yeah, and 1 a.m.'s when everybody comes through. All right. And hello, Amanda. Thank you for coming. I would have played the game longer. It's just that with the game, the situation was that it kept crashing. It wasn't my connection. The game itself over there, they're having some problems. But I talked about the stuff before about the trials and stuff, and I know people can watch the reruns, so I'll go over it again while people are here. And it was nice talking to myself. But there's other people that like saw it, and we'll see rerun. But as I said, I'm glad that they're here now, and I could talk more about. I'm going to talk about it again, which I don't mind doing. So I watched the time when people come in here, and as I said, the game Sam has not been in the game, but the reason why I still do the games early, like when I do the stream like at 11:15, is because of the Sam and some other people in the game. But yeah, like around this time and a little bit after this is when the people come through. And I'm thinking out loud, which I don't mind doing. So right, but I'll get back. I want to while you all are here, I'll talk about the trial thing again. So also another thing was, as I was saying about the Japan. So naturally, these people aren't going to like each other, and Japan and Russia didn't like each other, and during the Soviet Union, they had a war. That's when the Soviets were our ally, and they had this big ordeal with the going back and forth, and then so they still have something against them. But the thing is, with the West problem with Russia was not the same reason that that Japan had a problem with them. The West, us over here, we have a problem, Sarah, with them because of the communism. But communism isn't there anymore, and it's a Christian country now. The West still doesn't like Russia, and Amanda, I'm going to answer your question about the rain in a moment. But the reason why we had a problem with them was because of the communism. Communism's not there anymore, but people don't remember because they weren't there in the early 1900s, and people failed to pass on to their kids about the real history about what happened with Russia, because people still call it the Soviet Union. They think Putin's communist, and it's like saying America's still the Confederacy. It's like saying the entire United States is the Confederacy. It's as like ignorant as saying something like that. When it's like it's not the same thing. They still use some aesthetic from the Soviet Union, some of the flags, or they celebrate the victory, and they have like a hybrid between both sometimes, or so like symbolism. But it's not, and there still is a communist party in Russia. There's still like the freedom for them to do that over there, but it's not like the Soviet Union. So Russia is different than our reason for being against Russia. In theory, we would not be against Russia anymore because it's not communist, but of course they're still not going to like the Russian Empire because America has, and the West is real. Lincoln was friends with the Tsar. Japan, if they have their own, Japan having their own problems with Russia is different than our problems with Russia. That's my point. And also, Japan is not, as I said, I like Japan. And you got Americans that don't know what country we are. They don't know what our capital is. Japan is nice streets. They're very clean. Very, very great people. Saying that, in World War II, they did try to take the islands we have, and also they were taking the islands that, like Hawaii and things like that. So those are some problems that we had with them. And also, as I was saying, the people. So that's the situation with the Russia and the West and Japan. But as I said, Japan surrendered, and then we became friends with them. So it's like it kind of goes back and forth. but I don't know if the people heard me. So saying that about that, I like Japan and all. There was a war, and they were trying to take the islands over here and over Asia. Like they said, the Chinese are trying to take over the Asia. Japan at one time did do that, and also it looks like the Asian countries just beef with each other all the time, and they don't like each other. That's just so that people can understand the context of what's going on here. So Sarah said before about the Prime Minister of Japan. Well, she said alien took 2 hours to help husband find his keys to a bicycle he was have left when the stream begun. That's all good. And also, Amanda says, you guys got so much rain, everything okay? At the North Shore in Slidell, there was rain. Well, there was a tornado in Slidell up north of me. And, and also, there was rain, a lot of rain and wind down here. We're all okay, Amanda. Everything's fine. But it was very intense. There was a lot of stuff going on. And there was tornado warnings and all kinds of things like that. And Sarah says, well, husband said the PM pushing elderly to pay for the youth and put stay in BlackRock involving to get it done. Shrug. Yeah, it's a lot of cringe going on. Yeah, YouTube's causing some people problems. You're not the only one. I remember there was some lady that was getting kicked out of the chat. Of not of this stream, but another stream. And there's also some other things going on. People are talking about, yes, Haley, no one learning or researching histories. And keyword empire. Exactly. Exactly. There's a Soviet Union that's like a utopia where they have these like workers' unions that Lenin invented. And then you have the Russian Empire, which has to do with like a king, a czar, and there's like a oligarchy of different people. Or in Japan, you have the emperor or empress, and it just goes down that way. But the utopia didn't work out too well, and they got rid of it. And main reason we keep here is for his in-laws' sake. Sarah, very briefly on Aliens Outside Live for Eclipse, but I don't think he stuck around very long. Might just be busy. He'll be around soon again, I'm sure. Yeah, I'll be around at some point. Culture differences too. Okay, there's cultural differences between. I think you're getting this right. Japan and Russia, there's cultural differences, or the West. I'm not too sure what you mean exactly. And Amanda says, "Oh yeah, I did see something about a tornado." Okay, yeah. Stop kicking. Yeah, stop kicking Sarah off YouTube. You may don't realize. So, and like, cause I'm not like Japanese. I'm not over there. Like they have their own beef with Russia. You know, but it's good to have a line. Like I'm glad that we have an alliance with what's his name, Japan. That's good. No more emperor involved in political decisions. Well, that's good, Sarah. Yeah, that's a good thing, in my opinion. And before it didn't work out too well. And also, like, I'll show you Putin doing something. Let's see. Yes, Sarah, that PM. We're going to have a history lesson. Like, we see this, my man right here, Putin, right? We see there's a flag behind him. And you see that flag behind him. That flag is not, which you all here know this because I've talked about it. That flag is blue and red and it has an eagle on it. So it's not the flag of communism. We're going to look at this again. You see, we see Putin right here, our man Putin right here, and he has. You could see a dude on a shield. There's a red shield, and there's a dude like stabbing something on his horse. Saint George, which is the same George that England has. That's why they name all their descendants George, and they also have Saint George because the two countries were connected. Which was this was supposed to the intentions of this was to unite both the countries, unite Europe together, but it didn't work out that way. So I'm not saying people should support Putin or not, but it's not the same thing as a red flag with stars on it or a hammer and sickle. Oh, Sarah, funny you should say that. I had a synchronicity today. Anybody, if I cut out or something, let me know. So, Sarah, basically what happened was I was reading, as I read about what the different communists and stuff think, and like their writings and stuff, so I research things. And Lenin said that all roads lead to Rome. What you were saying about the communist flags and stuff. So Lenin himself said all roads lead to Rome. So there you go. That's the answer. But this is a different situation. This is the other regime. No, so basically, with right, yeah, right on, Amanda, and basically, yeah, Sarah's saying all flags with eagles lead to Rome. The flag, the eagle, what the eagle means is the Orthodox. It's from the Byzantine Empire. It's Eastern. It's the Eastern Orthodox Church. You see, this flag is a similar flag to the Russian flag. This is the flag of the Byzantine Empire. Yeah, I was reading about Lenin on women, like women's role in communism. And the crucial role they had in the revolution. And like Lenin's very gray when you read things he says. Like he'll say something that makes sense, then he twists it around and says that communism's the only way to do it. Then it doesn't work. This man was like about the traditionalism, and then it's like that, like, and communism was kind of getting, there's all these sexual liberation that was happening, but then again, it was not really healthy for society, and that's what the bourgeoisies do, he was saying, and it was being tainted by the capitalists, that the capitalists were causing the communist movement to get all liberal and out of hand, but he didn't really understand that that's not true, it's just the communism did that. Because if like Nietzsche was saying, this is taken out of context, and I'm going to get back to you all in a moment, that if you take God out of the, like, God is dead and we killed him, if you take God out of the equation, what's going to replace it? Because even if people don't believe in God, the Christian values were very important, and you take that away, it's going to be replaced by something really bad. That's what Nietzsche was saying, and then they did that, and Lenin just was too stubborn to figure out that he had some good ideas and good intentions, but the communism wasn't the way to do it. So the Byzantine Empire Eastern. So you have the Roman Empire, and then Greece, and also you have Eastern Europe. Yes, Sarah Nietzsche. He's that philosopher, the German philosopher, and you had the Eastern Empire, where like we have Bosnia, like where Bean is from, and this Yugoslavia and Greece in Eastern Europe, the southern Eastern Europe, that was the Eastern Roman Empire, and the Western Roman Empire is like France, England, like somewhat Germany. And although Germany was hard for the Romans to conquer, and Italy, that's the Western Roman Empire. So there's a schism. There's the Eastern Orthodox Church, and then the Western Church, the Catholic Church, which broke up in a million pieces. It became all kinds of different Protestant things. So my point is that this flag you see is the Byzantine Empire, which is the Russian Empire took that because it's Orthodox. So there you go. All roads lead to Rome. And this symbol in the middle looks kind of similar to another symbol that is controversial. It looks kind of like a controversial symbol right there. It's not that, but you can see what I was talking about, that we just have certain European symbols go back a long time ago. It's kind of like a controversial symbol maybe, but in the center of that, but see that the Russian one, the Russian one, there's a comparison, and I'm going to go back to chat. Awesome. She's taught, yeah, I love history. Thank you, Amanda. Glad that you like it. And I want to go back to the trial news. Y'all watch the reruns, I know, but like I'll tell you all the trial news also after I talk about this stuff, okay? Because I want to see your people's reaction, which I like doing. It's all good. I would have played the game longer, but the game was being stupid. All right. The eagle again. All flags with the eagle lead to Rome. Prince Charles' coat of arms with an eagle and horse. And never knew that. I was trying to read early and trying to grab the book and play with it. Oh, that's cute, Amanda. And also Nietzsche, and Sarah says, YouTube evil, you. Alien, remember reading Nietzsche works long time ago. Okay. And the two eagle heads. And that's funny, Amanda, about Ava. And those pictures are very cool. I'm surprised I never have seen that before, Alien. Yeah. No, Mary doesn't watch the trials. She does. I think like she's doing like the cats or something, or she's doing other things. She doesn't. I don't know. She could still watch it though. She doesn't watch the trials. So you see everybody. The 1472. They have the eagle, the Byzantine Empire. In 1857, they have the Tsar Nicholas thing, like the Tsarist Empire. In 1993, they brought this back after the communist regime was going to collapse. So there you go, everybody. They have the sequence of events that lead to all roads lead to Rome. And I'll talk about the thing on the shield. Come on, Goof. Get with the program. Let's go back there. All right. I know, Sarah. You're in a different time zone. Okay. So Thank you, Amanda. I don't know who that is, but thanks. All right, this is the coat of arms of Russia. All right, and we see there's a man on the shield. There's a man on the shield, and basically he is, right here. So this is Saint George. And I'll look the Shane West up and show people what you're talking about, Amanda. Thank you. And also, the two main elements of the Russian state symbolize the two-headed eagle and Saint George slaying the dragon. Predate Peter the Great, according to the Kremlin's website. So remember I was talking to y'all about Beowulf slaying the dragon? And I was talking about dragons before, Sarah? You see, this is, in legend, Saint George, a soldier veteran of Christianity, defeats a dragon. In legend, Saint George, a soldier veteran in Christianity, slays the dragon. So, I was talking to y'all that the dragons are real. These things are real. And Saint George, in England, they named their kid, the royalty, they named their kids George. George the first, second, third, because back in the day, Christian Europe was united. Russia, England, now they fought each other, but the intentions was Russia to England would all be united under Christianity. So you have a Saint George all the way in Russia. You have the London naming their kids George after the saint. It was just this Christian nation. Europe is not Christian really anymore, and not against the Muslims personally. Actually, I've always, since I was like a teenager, I was always, cool with the Muslims I knew. But like there are some Muslims that follow the authoritarian expansion ideologies of Islam, and in Europe there's a big expansion right now, and Europe is not what it used to be. So partially a reason why Europe and the West are denying Russia because of its Christianity, in my opinion. But there's other reasons. People don't like Putin because they think he's a tyrant, or he's oppressing Ukraine, or he's a dictator, or he's a king, or whatever. So there's other reasons too. But people got to really think about what's going on here. All right. You see, yeah, Saris is a good point. China always symbolizes themselves with dragons, just saying. Exactly. Exactly. You see their symbolism there, Sarah, and also China, Sarah, their scientists were trying to recreate a dragon with an incubator. So the Chinese, yeah, they're in the dragons, exactly, and Russia slaying the dragon. And I think, in my opinion, it's good that Putin is getting along with China for the good of Russia, and it's good that two countries can get along in spite of their differences. But technically, theologically speaking, and ideologically speaking, Russia, Empire, and China would be arch enemies. Just like Japan would be an enemy of China, because Russia's not communist anymore, for one thing, and it's an atheist country and a religious Christian country that they're enemies in a way. Like, people don't really realize that, but people grew up during the Cold War, and say a lot of people were in the 80s and the 90s, and the Soviet Union and Russia, and people are real intelligent, and they think that it was always communist since like 10,000 BC. It was communist. Like it was always like that. But that's not exactly the case, though. No. That's why Putin was explaining the history about Russia, because he knew there's a lot of intelligent people over here that know about the history of Russia. And I was being sarcastic and kind of smart alecky for a second. I was being sassy. Nothing wrong. People don't know the history about it. I just get frustrated with some people that it's okay if people don't like Putin for if they think he's a dictator or whatever. That's their business. But just people that don't that call it the Soviet Union, I get kind of triggered. And right, right, and Shinto, interesting. Sarah, those dragons costumes they wear for Chinese New Year are very cool. Surely they succeed in some form. Putin not fearful of aligning when or where. Right. And another thing, I feel that the West pushed Russia away. Like I think that like he even suggested joining NATO. He seemed like he wanted the West to, know about the terrorists and stuff. But I think the West pushed him away, and he had no choice but to make an alliance with China. But I think he would have done that anyway, probably. What are the motives behind that? I'm not saying he's trustworthy at all. I mean, I don't know, and I don't want to support something that's evil or bad. People think he's a dictator. Okay, whatever. I don't want to support something bad either. But it's like I think the West pushed him away, and all he has left is to go backwards where China is. But as I said, I'm not like necessarily defending Putin or anything. I'm just talking through a historical analysis of it. And true, Japan was Christian till the emperor feared them, then went executing Christians for a while and isolated. No man is alien. Sorry, not Christian per se, meant allowed such. Okay, yeah, because another thing is that Russia is Christian and China and Japan, they have pagan gods, and the emperor is kind of like an Egyptian god of some kind. So it was a Christian. Like the Russians were fighting now each other. They're fighting the what's his name, the Japanese people, and they're different religions. Now Tsar Nicholas II prayed for the Orthodox Japanese that were there. He prayed for the Orthodox Christians in Japan. And he prayed for Japan even though he was fighting them. Not defending them. It's just studying history. That's all. And I am a Christian. But I believe in America and a republic and our system we have here. I'm not saying we should have a dictatorship or we should have a king or whatever. I'm not saying that. Let's keep America American, like a republic or whatever. I've never went to school to study it. Like I've not done that before. Like I studied it in high school, but I didn't go to college for it. Okay, so the translation is a gold two-headed eagle with raised, extended wings set against a four-cornered red heraldic shield with rounded lower corners, two small crowns on top of the eagle heads with one large crown above it. Three crowns are linked by the ribbon. The eagle holds a scepter in its right claw and an orb in the left claw. The eagle bears the red shield on the breast, depicting a silver horseman in a blue cape mounted upon a silver horse, slaying the black dragon with a silver spear. Silver is a valuable metal. The Russian coat of arms goes back to the 15th century with the fall of Constantinople. Right. Right. Exactly. All right. So we're gonna look up Saint George. All right, Saint George. He's from Turkey. He died in Israel. All right, Saint George, England. You see, the feast day of St. George has celebrated in England for hundreds of years. On the 23rd of April, which was possibly the date of his martyrdom, following the Battle of Agincourt in 1415, St. George became the most important feast day in English calendar. You see, the English celebrate St. George, and also the people in Russia do, because and the reason why, like, I'll explain another thing. A lot of the monarchs, which I explained before, were cousins. Queen Victoria is known as the grandmother of Europe, and now YouTube. And also, basically, so they had these different kings and these different royalty that married each other, and they were all over Europe, all the way to Russia. And also, basically, what happened was, like, say you'll have the king. I'll show you all the king of Russia. And I've told you all this before, but I'm gonna repeat myself because I do that all the time. The Russian monarch was cousins with the Russian monarch was cousins with the British one, and the Spanish one was cousins with all of them, and the German one was cousins with everybody. Then you had these little tiny ones. The intention of this was to unite all of Europe, unite it together, like the United Nations. This was the intention of that. But now, they made mistakes, they fought each other, and Marxism came and was like, there's this king with a crown, and he's rich, and there's all these peasants. And which, maybe in some places, there were some backwards issues. Some areas may not have been completely developed. Like in England, though, they just reformed things. Now, Russia was a little bit backwards. So this was a flaw that, I disagree with people being oppressed or anything. But so they did this thing where there's an oppressor and a lower class, so they would overthrow the other person, and then there would be this utopia. But like what Nietzsche said, if you get rid of this, it's going to be replaced with. So they need to have reform if there's a problem, but to not completely abolish the system. Thus, Russia returned back to the Russian Empire. Dry weather getting to me. It's all good. The Lord blesses me in my speech. Amen. Notice his flag. Notice what he's wearing on his clothing. He's wearing a red cross. It's the same cross as the Crusaders. And also the Cross of England. And Russia celebrates the same saint. And it's on their flag too. We're all TV shows from the 50s, all the time before, like pre-80s, pre-70s to the 90s. I'm talking about the Twilight Zone. I'm talking about Mission Impossible or Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea is like Star Trek, and it had to do with the Soviet Union during the Cold War. The whole point was to stop Russia from being communist, and that's what was achieved. Now, as I said, Japan has their own beef with Russia over some other things. That's a different topic. But the West had something, to do with it. It was the communism. And although America was a republic, it still was not against the monarchies of other countries. Benjamin Franklin was honored and humbled to meet King George III diplomatically. And he met the King of France. And they did not support deleting the King of France. They weren't like that. They weren't like Antifa BLM. They just want to be independent and be like a greater British Empire. And America did flawlessly. Wish there was a word for it. They did prodigiously amazing with this. They expanded all over the continent, over the piece of land, and spread all over the world. So, but America is not the same thing as communism and socialism. They weren't going to go overthrow the king and delete everybody. They weren't like that. They just want to have an independent state. That's why America was against the Bolshevik Revolution. Yeah, old shows are great, but as I said, people may not like Russia for it being because it's still like a king. He's like a king, Putin. He's like a czar, or at least an authoritarian Christian ruler. In the West, maybe they're not really into that. They may want to be like a republic. So there's some other ideological differences now. But I'm just saying it's not like it was before. So this king you see right here, this saint rather, not king. See, he has the red cross and he's slaying a dragon. It's the same flag on England. You see that red cross? It's the flag on England's flag. And also, Moscow has the same flag, but in a different way. It has the picture of the saint on the flag. It has the picture of him on the flag, and we have his cross over in England. And America's flag comes from the British flag. There used to be a Union Jack where the stars are, but George Washington wanted to keep the Union Jack in the American flag. But they said they're going to put George Washington's coat of arms in the flag instead. And would represent the different states that were added to the flag. Because we were part of the East India Trading Company. So we're all connected. We all have red, white, and blue. From Moscow to America. There's red, white, and blue flags. Even Cuba has a red, white, and blue flag. That's a whole other thing. That'll trigger everybody. That topic. All right. They were very fervent in getting it done for independence. Exactly, Sarah. Exactly. They want their independence. Thus, and it's good, and I'm very glad. It's great to see in my time, like my grandparents, they were alive. They were kids during the war with Japan, and they have they saw Japan in a different way. But I'm glad in my generation, Japan contributed so many video games and technology. Super Mario, they gave us those trees in Washington and friendship. So it's great now to see that we're friends now. It's just, amen. That's a godsend right there. You know, diplomacy and peace through strength is always the best policy, and I'm glad that we're now friends with them. And let's see, this is another one of St. George fighting the dragon. You see this flag? It's in the Union Jack. So that's the cross of St. George. In Scotland, St. Andrew. In Ireland, St. Patrick. So all these Irish people that think that England was trying to oppress Ireland is not true. There was wars between Scotland and Ireland, but the intention was not to oppress them like they thought. Like, why would you include them in your flag if you're trying to oppress them? Hitler didn't put, the Star of David in his flag. Like, they weren't like Hitler. All right, in my opinion, a lot of people would disagree with me on that. A lot of people think the British Empire is, white and evil and stuff like that. But in my opinion, there's some bias in those opinions. And right, and Amanda's saying how I think all people want independence. It's the government's rulers that don't always want to give it to the people. I agree, Amanda. Exactly. All right, so England, we are derived from England also. We are like a a descendant of the British Empire. You see how it has red, white, and blue like Russia does? And also it has the cross, that big red cross in the middle is St. George's cross. And the Russian flag has a picture of St. George on their shield, and they have red, white, and blue. As I said, the original intention was to unite all of Europe under a Christian United Nations thing. But it didn't, didn't work. So you tell people today, like, what's the capital of America? They're going to say Australia. And it's ridiculous. All right. So yeah, that's basically the situation with the Russian, the Russian American relation, and the different things like that. So basically, to tell you what's going on, the Prime Minister today talked about how Ukraine and Russia and how Japan wants America to keep supporting the Ukrainian thing, and how Japan's our ally in this, and they're together fighting with us. That was what they were talking about today. The St. George's flag, a red cross on a white field, was adopted by England and the City of London in 1190 for their ships entering the Mediterranean to benefit from the protection of the Genoese fleet. The English monarch paid an annual tribute to the Doge of Genoa for this privilege. And we're going to look at the Russian flag with the eagle again. The Russian flag with the eagle, the golden two-headed background, symbols of three crowns, symbolizes Russia's sovereignty of the Russian Federation and its regions. The scepter orb which eagle holds the claws personify the state power of the unified state. And also we have, as I said, look, it's the same type of flag you have here. It's the same flag. And you have red, white, and blue. And it's the red, white, and blue. And you have St. George, just like the England flag. As I said, it's a variation of Britain. And the monarchs of Russia and England were related. But the Russian monarch is deceased, and his line was severed. And his whole family was deleted. So, yeah, facts, chat. Facts. So that's the situation that, we got. I saw, yeah, Zelensky, I said, like, he likes to, I saw him, and he likes to do theatrical things and dance around and stuff. I've seen some things about him. Oh yeah, Bina said the meaning. It's like purity, bravery, and I forgot the other one. I could look up the meaning, but yeah, I know purity and bravery. Like the red's bravery, white is purity, and like I don't know, blue sovereignty or something. I'm speculating. For America, at least, red symbolizes hardiness, valor. White symbolizes purity, innocence. Blue represents vigilance, persistence, and justice. Look at the flag of France. It has red, white, and blue, like the other flags. Now, the French Empire's flag kind of differs a little bit. but it still was similar. It had that flag and another flag that had blue. Okay, it was the same flag, but there's another flag. They had different. They had all kinds of different flags in France. They have a blue flag with the fleur de lis on it, like the Quebec flag. But like you see, this is the French flag. It has red, white, and blue, and the monarchs were all related. You see, even Italy was part of France at one time. I don't know if that's really accurate. That could just be. I think that's probably fan fiction. But I have to look it up. But that's like an idea of it on all of Europe. Correct myself there for a second. And you see the Empire of France. And I'll show you China's flag. Totally different thing. You have the flag of the People's Republic of China. It's the red star of communism with the flag of the people, of the people's blood, of the utopian revolution. It's not the same thing as all the other flags. Nope. Now it does resemble ancient China, but that was their flag originally. That was the original Chinese flag. Red, white, and blue, and yellow. Yellow people. That was... that's a joke. That's a joke. Anyway. That was the Chinese, and China had an empire. And China had an emperor and empresses. But we have our utopia that came into power right here. And ladies and gentlemen, guys and gals, we have a utopia now, and that's all over with. And then we have that flag now. And Japan has... Japan's warships right here with our good ally, all right, with the Americans. You see that flag you see right there? That red flag is the flag of the rising sun. And that's the flag of Japan. And that's the American flag on that ship. And we're being allies now. And they're doing some sort of war operation together. Or doing some kind of a drill. So our good ally Japan is patrolling the seas, and we're being allies now. And that's just a beautiful thing to see. I've seen so many World War II movies about Japan and America, but now I'm glad that we're allies now. Yeah, exactly. And Japan and China have beef. A lot of beef. They could go and feed the world for 100 years of the beef they have. I say it respectfully. I'm not taking shots at either. I'm saying they really, especially Korea, doesn't like them either. The South Koreans don't like them. Like, they all don't like... It's like they're like a bunch of cats. Like, the cats right now, they don't like each other. They're like that. They're all these cats that don't like each other. Alright, so that's the sun. One of my friends from school was able to capture a picture of it where I am. Not my part of the city, but the over there in the west part of the city. And I wasn't... It was too cloudy in my part. And also Bo's brother was sleeping in the field, so I couldn't really go too close to the field, but still it was too cloudy. But yeah, she caught a video of it in Louisiana. So I'll show you all that at some point. And basically, how the it was like half the sun and where I am was blocked. Half of it was blocked. Okay, so Sarah says husband saying the flag with rays, fishermen, and navy use here. Nice, nice. The flag of the rising sun. I like the flag. It's awesome. I would love to fly that flag. That's cool. There's like some kind of bandana. There's these bandanas that you can wear, and like what the Warriors wore. It's pretty cool. Yeah, right on, Amanda. Right. Well, I'm glad he participates, Sarah, and shout out to your husband. I'm glad that he participates. Glad he participates. I like hearing his insight on things. All right. So I'm going to go back to some of that news I was talking about with the trials. Well, that's cool, Sarah. That's cool. All right. All right. So people that are rewatching the stream that have reached this point, I'm going to talk about the beginning all over again. And now they can watch the rerun, the people in the chat, and they will. But I just want that while they're here, I want to talk about the trial that happened. All right. So the trial that I'm referring to is the situation that happened with the Apple River. All right. So without further ado, let's go. So at the Apple River trial, it's this trial that there's this river they call the Apple River, and there's a dispute that was going on where you had these teens on the river and where they got into a dispute, a fight, and basically what happened was they were so basically what happened was they got into a fight with him, and he also pushed a girl there, and it led to a giant, and he went back by them to start a conflict. All right, so St. Croix County jury convicted Nicolier Miu, 54, of reckless homicide for fatally stabbing Isaac Schumann, 17, at the popular recreation spot in western Wisconsin. He was also convicted of recklessly endangering the safety of 4 other people he stabbed. Another thing, I was reading this article earlier, and I was saying how on the stand he lied about the knife. He said he didn't have a knife, and then he lied that he was when he was first caught he didn't have a knife. Then he really did have a knife. So he lied about that in the beginning, and I was reading and I was talking about how, he was saying from 1 to 10 how angry he was. They asked him, and he said a 1. So he was so angry. I mean, my friend said she would hate to see him at a 7, and at a 1 he went and deleted somebody. While I was reading the article, I was talking about that and how he went back over to them and got his knife out and started going at it. And they went at it too with their hands. It's like you have this situation where I was talking about that, then I read a part of the article, and the article said the thing that I said. I was like later in the article, and it said the thing that I was saying. Mary was here, and I was like, "Oh, look, I was right again." And like, well, because I know the trial so well. I know the trial so well because I watch it live, and like some other people that were talking about it, it's like, you know, and people were saying about the self-defense, like people that watched trial were split on it. Then towards the end, everybody sort of agreed on the same thing, but the friends and I. But like some people disagreed in the chat. But like I'm sitting there for hours and hours watching the trial all day long, like a nutty person. And then you have some people, which is okay, that will like take a part of it, and it's like, it was out of self-defense, and I'm just like not against my any other people, but it's like it's like kind of straw manning. Take a straw man, you beat it up. But it's like you gotta take the whole thing. You can't just take something out of context. And I just feel like like I'm a donkey. I'm a donkey. I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, it's like self defense. It's not self defense. He like was doing it out of spite. And it's like, but what would I know? But as I said, nothing wrong with people having different opinions and stuff. And I think that I'm not against, I'm not saying anything against other people that had different opinions. I'm just saying that, like, I study things very thoroughly. I could be wrong. I could be refuted. I accept that. I don't want to be prideful or arrogant. That's a sin. May God humble me. But I'm saying, like, I study things very thoroughly. I could be given the wrong information, but a lot of the time, I may be right about some things. Yeah, aliens cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Amanda says, never lie. Then no one is ever going to believe you. Facts. Sarah said, if not the river, he would have in another area. That's the thing. If he's released, he would just go do it again to somebody else. And, like, right, and Sarah said first still photos look like self-defense, but the body language did not. Right on, Amanda. You see, and Sarah, in the beginning, I'm like, could it be self-defense? I thought that maybe, I was like, kind of like, I didn't think so, but I'm like, it could be. And then it's like, seeing the dude talk, seeing the testimonies, seeing what he did, they weren't armed, they didn't have bats, it wasn't like a gang of people trying to attack somebody. And the dude walked over towards them and attacked them, and they were convinced he was harming or doing something to the girl there, the young girls there. And it's like when you see him with the video, it's like it's just this man had a temper, okay? He could walk away sometimes. Like sometimes there's self-defense. There's sometimes when you walk away. There's sometimes when you go and drop a verse and you lay a verse. Facts. Yeah, Amandra. Yeah. But when you see the videos, Amandra, he walks over to them and goes and causes a problem. So there's still photos, but there's video. It's like, it's a lot involved with these trials and things to look into. All right. So further reading. Gasps and sobs filled the St. Croix County, Wisconsin courtroom on Thursday as a jury convicted Nicole Miu of first degree reckless homicide for fatally stabbing 17-year-old Isaac Schumann during a 2022 confrontation on the Apple River in western Wisconsin. Facts, Amanda. Miu, 54, and his attorneys lowered their hands as Judge Michael Waterman read the verdicts from the jury of 6 men and 6 women. In addition to the homicide conviction, Miu of Prior Lake was found guilty of 4 counts of reckless endangerment of stabbing 4 others in group and counts of battery against another person. It's been 21 months we've been waiting for justice for Isaac Michael Schumann. And this guy, from what the chat was saying, that he was a good student, he got all A's, and he had good conduct. And we got it today. Donnie Hernandez, the husband of Schumann's mother, Alenia Hernandez, said after the verdict, a large group of family members and supporters stood arrayed behind him outside the courthouse. Had argued was in fear for his life. I'm going to add my own commentary. He was in fear for his life because he walks up to teenagers that have no weapons, have no bats or anything, with his knife, and he has a knife in his hand, and he walks over to them, and he's extremely angry, and he was afraid for his life when he could have walked away and went somewhere else and not had a confrontation with them at all. And he seemed really brave when he had that knife on him. Anyway, and acted in self-defense. He will be sentenced at a later date and faces what one of his attorneys called substantial life-altering penalties. Prosecutors sought a higher charge of first-degree and intentional homicide against Miu, but also the jury to consider the lesser charges. Defense attorney Aaron Nelson said the defense team was surprised and disappointed at the verdict. In many ways, self-defense is a key standard, Nelson said, and it's very dependent upon which group of 12 people within a community you ask. Yeah, because everybody's going to have their own opinion about this. Everybody's going to have their own opinion. And Miu had remained in state custody since he was first jailed. After the verdict, Waterman revoked his bail and returned to jail. Top count against Miu carries a sentence up to 40 years in prison, while more possible on the other counts. The sentencing determination lies within Waterman. Nikolai Miu's twin brother, Miu, and his family leave the courthouse after his brother's guilty verdict in the South District Court, Hudson, Wisconsin, on Thursday. Prosecutor Carl Anderson said Miu's behavior that day revealed his guilt. A key position in the case is Nicole's own actions. Anderson said after he stabbed, he tried to get away and pretend like he wasn't involved. Schumann was from a Stillwater, Austin, 2022, Somerset, where Alexander Martin, Dante Carlson, another Carlson, and Rayleigh Madison Miyu was convicted of battery against another person in the group Madison Cohen. The jury had briefly returned to the courtroom first thing Thursday to review the video confrontation captured in Jowin Cockfield. Another member of the group included Schumann. Miyu was also with a group of people who were interrubbing on the Apple River that day. Jurors reviewed the video from 1 minute mark when Miyu first spoke to Cohen, who told Miyu to leave after people looking for a cell phone. Yeah, you're going to look for a cell phone on a river. And on the others in the group he had lost while rubing, he said that he pushed Cohen because she was yelling in his personal space. Witnesses start the brawl. Miyu had testified during the trial that he was in fear of getting really high. His fear was getting really high as the confrontation escalated and he was pushed into the water several times. He glanced down and took a deep breath as the video showed him fighting Schumann's group, stabbing people around him. Prosecutors called Miyu a prolific liar, pointing to consistencies between what he initially told police later in the day on June 30 and what he later admitted on the stand. Miyu told police that the day he had taken the knife from one of the younger men in the group, but later acknowledged it was false. You see what I said, chat? I was reading this before, and I said that before I even read the article because I saw it live. You know, I'm like, I saw this thing live. I said, you know what? He's going to see, he lied about it. And then I read the article, and it said the same thing I said because I was there. People are like, oh, look at alien spaceship, and he sits over there in his house all day, blah, 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 blah. Look at it, I know everything. But actually, not true. I'm being productive and doing something. Yeah, Amandra's a mermaid. And, Amanda and Sarah the mermaids, and, I'm just in, with Sam O'Silver, and him and I are, saying in the boat, and then we see these mermaids, and it's Amandra. And, then we go into, those little raft boats, those little tiny ones that you, those lifeboat type things. And then we see them. We see Amandra, and, just come out the water. Yeah, facts. With the Mick Raw trial, I said that wrong. In the Mad Dog trial, in his retrial, I said guilty. They're not gonna. They threw the book on him. They're not gonna throw the book on him again. He's good. He's out. He's end. He's finished. And I was right. He was finished. Finished. Thank you, Amanda. I'm glad my ship may pass. He said he didn't have the knife. The teenagers had it. Then he said he did have the knife because he lied. The trial revealed grisly details from the scene, with Martin testifying that the attack left him stunned as he held the parts of his own intestines in his hands. Graphic warning, viewer discretion advised. Alien caught us when we were on the Titan. Fuck. I get the mermaids. I'm on the Titan, going below with Stockton Rush. I see Amanda the mermaid, I see them blush. I do too. And I see them both and I say, I gotta catch you. And that's how it all happened. Our position was it was truly afraid, not just hold a knife and people are going to back up, Anderson said. Justice for Isaac said Donnie Hernandez, husband of Isaac Schumann's mother, Lena Hernandez, left as he tears up while talking to the media after Nicole Miu guilty verdict at the St. Croix County District Court, Hudson, Wisconsin, Thursday. Yeah, yeah. And I read that. This is the second time I read that. Eclectic. Members of the jury excited the courtroom Thursday without comment to the media. Anderson, who said after the verdict that he was happy that Isaac got justice and that the high profile nature of the crime and trial, the long staying popularity of the Apple River as summertime destination, probably played into the public interest in the case. I think about half of the jury panel had been in the Apple River, so I think kind of hit close to home for all the people, he said. Muley's wife, friends, and testified he was a peaceful man bullied by Schumann's group. That day, Muley looked and worried after the fight. They testified Muley himself had nightmares about the stabbing every night, and told officers he interviewed him in July afternoon. His whole life is down the tube. Tim Pluqueen, and I like how the page bounced right back up to the top. But anyway, so that's what happened with the trial. He's angry. This man's face. Yeah, I know. It went all the way back to the top in like a blink of an eye. The speed of light, I swear. Alright. And my friends and I were all saying guilty in the chat. And I'll tell you something else. I was watching this other trial that came up. This other hearing. Exactly, Sarah. So I was watching the Brian Koberger coverage. And also, so basically what happened was the trial chat they had over there, Law and Crime, they had this like a special that was extended into the night because it's in Idaho. It was like in the evening and the night a little bit, and you had this Koberger. Yeah, waiting for an excuse to rage. Exactly, Sarah. Very well put. So basically, this person similar, in my opinion, to Ted Bundy, and like he deleted a sorority house of some people there, And also, it's like he did that allegedly, which I believe it did, but it's court stuff, has to go through court, and then they're talking about it. So basically, what happened was they're saying that the defense did this thing where they did a survey about what people thought about the trial and stuff, and the defense, I mean, the DA was like, "This is not cool," and it was going back and forth, and the judge was like sitting there and listening, and everybody deserves to have a fair trial, including this guy. And his defense attorney, for being a public attorney, she's doing a very good job as a public attorney, but still, this is like some shady stuff going on because he's like he did some bad things, and in my opinion. And then like so they went through this PowerPoint over and over again. They're showing you things like, for instance, there's these ask and answer things, like say if like let's just like say like back in the day in the chat we had Meta have a problem here, and say ask Amanda about it or something, and then like, oh, did they also have involve a sword or talk about a sword, and then say like, oh, that was mentioned, and then they'll go, oh, well, that's something, a detail you left out. So what they will do in a court sometimes, or in the situation they're talking about, they'll ask people a question about something, and they'll talk about an event or something they know about it, and they'll ask them another question about the event, and say, oh, well, this person left this thing out. Oh, that's so suspicious or something. It's like a straw man argument done very cleverly. And it could be used for something good. And they talked about the priest, the Fiat priest. Back in the day, he killed a beauty queen of some kind, like some model. And basically, what happened, they mentioned that. So that was just giving an example in this long thing that went on. And the judge, like, sitting there and watching, and the defense talked. And then, like, the appeals cringe, and the whole thing was cringe. But of course, like one of my friends, she was respecting the court system and the process of the court. So that is something that's also true, to respect that process of the court and the different attorneys and things. And it's good to everybody get it for a trial. And also, and they're talking about the YouTubers and the YouTubers' influence over the trials and the jury and stuff. And we're talking in chat, like my friend Abe and I were talking in chat. That guy's in Canada, and they was like, oh, they on to us, or they calling us out, and I'm like, yeah, they calling us out, they exposed us, and like a lot of times they'll comment about the people here. Darrell Brooks talked about us, the Shannon from the Crimbley, the kid that shot up the school, talked about us, and now they're talking about us on this trial. So like, because we have, I was saying it to Abe, like we got the power, like we have a strong influence over things, but the jury's doing their thing, but they're trying to like say, oh, well, the YouTubers, this and that, because as I said, like the Johnny Depp trial, it's on Wikipedia. Like the Independent chat on the Independent's YouTube channel steered the public opinion for Johnny Depp. I was part of that, so it's good that people can view these trials, and it's a beautiful thing about our country that we could see what's going on, and we could see a bunch of people could see the BS. And that's good that's being exposed. But at the same time, the jury could do their own thing, make their own independent decision on their own, not that we have any power over that. I'm just saying sometimes they'll try to do these strawman arguments and go, oh, the people on YouTube are marching for comfort. But it's not true. They're the ones that take comfort breaks. YSL trial, the Young Thug trial, they take comfort breaks. That's okay. Sometimes we need a comfort break. But they're the ones that need comfort, not us. Because we just have it naturally. Right, Mary Toodles? Ha ha ha. And on the rant, I had a rant. If people are lost, so maybe lost. So this dude, like, he went into this sorority and deleted people. It reminds me of the Jimmy Neutron movie I saw 20 years ago, and it was the Kids of America song, and they had the little they had the little cartoon characters from the Jimmy Neutron thing. That's basically where the Kids of America. That logic applies now. Like, look what we're doing. Like, we're modifying how trials go. Steve Jobs said it. You could quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but one thing you can't do is ignore them because they change things and push the human race forward. You see, that's a good quote he had. And, you know, as the time and technology advanced, and he mentioned something about Siri back in that time, back in the day. So the technology that those people created are being used now for many great things. So what he said links to what we do now. Right, Amanda. Most people are intelligent and can see past the BS. Back in the old days, it wasn't like that. They would say they're marching, and they're marching, but no, they're not marching. They're doing something bad. Exactly. The Brian Koberger, he came across as narcissistic. Exactly. In the early hours of November 13, 2022, University of Idaho students were fatally stabbed in an off-campus residence in the Moscow, Idaho. On December 30, 28-year-old Brian Christopher Koberger was arrested in Monroe County, Pennsylvania on 4 counts of first-degree murder. Ted Bundy's originally from Pennsylvania, by the way. And 1 count of felony burglary. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty. Dun 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 dun. So that was a dramatic explanation about what happened. And they found a army knife with his DNA on the sheath. What became of his dad's involvement? I don't know. Let's see. I'll look that up. I know his something about his father, but I have to look it up. It was Koberger's father, Michael, who reported the incident to the police, according to the court records. According to the records, Michael Koberger told law enforcement that Brian had warned him not to do anything stupid after learning his son had taken the phone, adding that his son had struggled with addiction. I know they call a place in America Moscow. He is the youngest child of Michael Koberger and Marie Ann Koberger. All right, so the father's the one that called the police and said, you know, that this guy's up to something nefarious. Wait, Brian Koberger's father called police on him 9 years before the Idaho murders. And he was arrested in 2014, records show. Okay. Now, sometimes in court, they'll do something before a trial is done where, like, say he was arrested in 2014 for addiction. You could have an option where they'll both parties will agree to not let this information into the court. I'm giving a hypothetical example. and so that won't be mentioned. But a prosecutor could mention this and link this to him having an addictive personality and having some problem with doing stuff like this, and then leading to other kind of addictions. Like Ted Bundy was addicted to certain things and caused him to do bad things. That's an exception. The guy was psychopathic, of course, and that's a real stretch there. But basically, you could link that this guy had something to do with that. But like, or an example they gave, it's like, say like, there's a mermaid and went on the and it took a fish out of the basket, and the mermaid was on trial, but the mermaid would not be tried for the the fish that she took. She would be tried for the trial would be about biting a giant hole in my leg. So that's like an example of that. I remember the cookie jar example. The cookie jar example. The cookie jar example. Like if someone stole a cookie 10 years ago, that wouldn't be brought up in a trial about something else. Yeah, that's interesting, Amanda. And also, I think that he had some like a genetic thing to act like that. Because there's also a genetic component too. There's like someone's born under a sign or something. That could mean something. But it's also people have a genetic thing in them to be a certain way from their ancestors. But thank you for mentioning that. That's very interesting. And also, This is a trial that's going on that some people don't like to talk about. Like some people get triggered by, but like basically, so you have young thug. So young thug. This guy is not young thug. This is like somebody that allegedly could have been involved in it. Yeah, YSL. And so basically, what happened was this guy wanted to stand, and before that, the other day, they had a dude that was in prison, and he wanted to go back with not this person on the screen, but another person. He wanted to go back on the chain gang, and he didn't know the little. He was not one of his little partners. This is the alleged co-founder of a gang, and also they played something, a recording that he did a long time ago of like I don't know a call or something, and he was saying he didn't remember things or recall stuff, because they don't want to say things that would get their partners in trouble. And also, I think that it's this trial is the judge was angry at the defense because they didn't do something early in the motion before the trial started, and he was angry about that, and he went off on the defense of the judge. He really was angry, and he let him have it. And the judge gets angry a lot, and then they called it off for the day. And oh, exactly, Amanda. Exactly about Bundy. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. He was a smooth talker and fooled a lot of people. He made a mistake and got too cocky telling his real name, and that's how he got caught up. Exactly. He broke out a couple of times, and also what he did, he was a he studied how people act and stuff, and he was he acted charming. He took psychology. He acted very charming, and he was a smooth talker. And people at the time didn't really believe that people could do things like that, and he was able to get away with a lot of stuff. And yeah, absolutely, Amanda. It's very interesting to see how he was so acted so normal up front, but he was really a little demon that was just masquerading. Like the Bible talks about the wolf in sheep's clothing. Perfect example. That's good, point made, Amanda. Thank you. But yeah, he broke out twice. I think twice or yeah. I'll look up to make sure it was twice. Sarah, later on, it has come out that one of his it was I don't know if it was Liz. I don't know if it was her or not, but one of the people gave him some money to break out of prison. He gave him $500 and used that to break out. But what he did was how he broke out of jail. The first time he broke out of jail, yeah, I got okay. So he broke out of jail the first time. He was doing his own reporting for the for his case. He was leading his own defense, and what happened was the window was open and the guard went out and he went and he jumped out of like a 3-story window and he sprained his ankle and he limped off into the wilderness. And he almost made it into Canada, but a cold front came in and he nearly froze to death. And he was cold and wet and he wanted to get caught because he was miserable. He broke into a cabin and he then he broke into let's see, he broke into a cabin and he got some food and got a gun. Another thing I was studying is that they banned guns when he broke out of jail, but he broke into a cabin and got a gun and ammunition. So the people couldn't get more ammunition, but he could get it illegally. See, and then because I remember the phone conversation between him and his attorney, and he was saying he saw the windows open and he just jumped out, and he then what he did was they caught him a couple of days later, or week. I'll tell you the exact time, and then he went back into prison, and then the next time he broke out of jail, what he did was he lost a lot of weight. He lost a lot of weight. Thank you, Amanda. And he cut a hole through his prison cell and the ceiling, and he went through the little hole and he went into the office where the police office, and he put on the police uniform and he just walked out. And he went over to some northern states. I remember he watched the Rose Bowl from a bar, but he couldn't be too supporting of his team because he didn't want people to know who he was. Then he made it down to Florida, and graphic warning everybody. He went and deleted, it's like what the Kroberger guy did, and also he deleted a little girl. Then he was given the death penalty electric chair. Yes, Amanda, I agree. Very fascinating. June 7, 1977, Bundy finally took the priority while locked in the law library by sheriff's deputies. The guard went outside for a smoke. The windows are open, and the fresh air is blowing through, and the sky was blue, and I am ready to go, and walked onto the window and jumped out, Bundy told Carlesse. Alien, thank you, Alien, for explaining detail. Reminds you of the past CSI shows. Oh, thank you. One of the ladies, Carol DeRanche, this lady, she has a YouTube channel, and she puts like content about the Ted Bundy stuff's very interesting. And also you have this. All right, so you see this picture? That's where he did. That's what he did. He. Oh, Sarah said I wasn't much into news or online during that time. Was unaware of all that. Oh, okay. Wow. Well, back then, Sarah, you didn't have like you have now, like with me in the chat, or even like a little before this time period in the early 2000s or the 80s, maybe, or the 90s, I'd say. Like, yeah, that time period, it was very, like, isolated. That's how that guy was able to get away with it, Sarah. Now, if something like that happened, it would be all over the news in milliseconds. But back then, like, no one knew you didn't even know he existed. That's why I was able to go from country to state like that. Like that. So we see here, that's how he broke out. He went through, he cut that hole right there. You see right there? And he got up on there and he went through it. That was the second time he broke out. And that's when they caught him. And I listened to his call with his lawyer when he was talking about when he got out. Yeah, that's him. They caught him there. Yeah. Confused because he was born in November the last time I checked. But I was like, I didn't really give it much thought, you know. But okay, Amanda. She says, "Oh, my bad, alien. Ted was a Sag. I'm going to pronounce this wrong probably, but we'll try it. Sagittarius, not a Gemini. Jeffrey Dahmer was a Gemini. Yeah, I know about Jeffrey Dahmer. An awful May one, though. Is she? Yeah, she's. Yeah, Sarah's like, let's put a murderer in a paper cell. Yes, he did. He did, Sarah. Absolutely. And then he did his last interview, and he was like talking about the things that happened and like what he believed like caused him to do that. And he was talking about how he became a Christian. Now, of course, though, now about this, it was free on YouTube the last time I checked. It's called No Man of God. That completely explains about him towards his death and how like he was still like bad, but there was a conflict with his belief in God. It was going back and forth. Some people think like he didn't really like he was doing the God thing to try to make his public image look better. Some people think like he did believe, or it's hard, what a person really thinks. But like basically, he was still bad and it's a psychopathic person. Even if he did like repent or believe in God at the time of his death. But that movie, No Man of God, was a Netflix thing. That's a really good example about like what he was thinking at that time. He was trying to get off the hook. He was trying to like not get the death penalty. He was also conflicted with and also trying to be a Christian, but he was not the best Christian, obviously. When he repented and like he like reverted back to Christianity, he claimed at one point towards the end. That's the what I'm saying because it kind of sounds a little bit confusing the way I said that. Okay, Amanda. Okay. In his final interviews on YouTube, if y'all are interested in watching it, and y'all can make your opinion about it. All right, this is No Man of God. This is the thing I'm talking about. It's when he was talking to like the detective. It's the guy that plays Frodo from Lord of the Rings and some other actor. That was a very good depiction about how Ted was, and it shows you like he's bad. Then there's like try to reduce his sentence or trying to make his image look good, but like or like did he really did repent and he really did believe in God towards the end, but he was also still doing shady things like trying to reduce the like the sentence. And he was still like doesn't mean he was a good person after that. But yes, he claims like Ted claimed that he repented and became a Christian at the end. If he really was or not, only God knows. But yes, that's what he said. Yeah, this one's about Bundy. Yeah, Elijah Wood. So as I said, if he really believed in God or not, that's between him and God. But he repented and he accepted Jesus Christ. But did he really believe in that or not? It's only God can judge. So the final interview on YouTube, yeah. And before he was executed, he was weeping and praying in his cell. And he was raised in a Christian home, also. All right, so this is like some pictures from it. this is the last interview. I'm not showing the video. I'm just like telling you. So from his last interview that he had with Dr. Dobson, and there's a big debate about if he was really being sincere or not. But for y'all that are interested, y'all could look that up. All right, and that's that. Come on, page. Elijah Wood, thanks. And also, Jeffrey Dahmer repented too. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And also, you know, the Gacy, I don't. That guy didn't repent. Or that guy, the clown one, he didn't repent at all. As far as I know, Charles Manson didn't. Charles Manson thought he was Jesus Christ himself. Well, I'm obsessed with criminology. Like, I always was. Right, right. And Bundy described it as something demonic that took him over. Like he wasn't blaming it, but he would have like some, definitely like demonic things going on with that. And also, it's like they have like those people have a darker aura. I was talking to you about auras. They have a darker aura, and like they're like in a dream state. They're not like aware. Like we're conscious of like doing right and wrong. Those people aren't. Yeah, those people aren't like conscious of what they're doing is wrong. They're like in a dream state or like playing like a video game. They're not like aware it's like bad. Like that's what emotion does. Emotion tells you, right and wrong. Oh, Mary, cool. That's cool. You're into it too. It's a very interesting topic. Arras, the one of St. George's paintings. Like Sarah, thank you for sharing that. Glad that you got to see that. I watched Resident Evil, aka Biohazard, but close eyes during a lot of heavy detective shows. Go figure. Yeah. And I'll do more streams and about these killers. I'll do more streams about them and talk about those different things. But like the YSL trial is hilarious. Like it's hilarious all day long. Because in the hood they have a culture of not snitching. That's why the people say they don't remember this, they don't remember that. That's why they're like that. You know, like some of these say they don't remember stuff or they didn't do this or that. That's why I do that under oath. You know what they have to do? Have some growth. Right or wrong, they're both. Anyone watch the Blacklist series? I'm not familiar with that, Sarah. Okay, thank you for the quinge for the not the quinge, but for the cringe warning. Thanks for the hugs. Okay, Mary, thank you. All right, so anyway, basically, yeah, thank you, Sarah, for the different stuff, for the different information. All the different shows to watch. Thank you, Sarah. Basically, about lists none wanted and top wanted being used to bring them in, but involved in twists and such. He's sleeping next to me.